Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Melbourne International Student Conference 2021 with the theme Reflect, Redefine, and Respond. Firstly, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land from which we stream on from today. For me, that's the land of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. I'd like to pay my respect for their elders, past, present, and emerging. I would also like to say thank you to all participants, speakers, organizers, and sponsors of this event. Miss 2021 wouldn't be possible without all of you. My name is Kimberly, and together with me is my fellow Master of Ceremonies for today, Jayden. On to you, Jayden.
Thank you, Kim, for that. We are very happy and excited to be finally here with all of you. This is very much awaited event, and let us more make some noise by tagging us on LinkedIn, Instagram, at Mel Community, and at City of Melbourne, and put the hashtag MISC2021. Before we move on, I would like to introduce Misc Project Manager, Anne Louise Thorbecke. Welcome.
Hello. Thanks, Jayden, and thanks to everyone who's logged on this morning. It's really fantastic to see in the registration list so many names and people from not just Melbourne but internationally as well, which is really this unique opportunity that we have now that the conference is digital. Before I head into my opening welcome, I would first like to introduce Deputy Lord Mayor Nicholas Reece from the City of Melbourne. On you go, stage is yours.
Thank you so much for that introduction, and good morning, everybody. I am Nicholas Reece, Deputy Lord Mayor of Melbourne. And on behalf of the City of Melbourne, can I also begin by respectfully acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which I'm standing today, which is the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung peoples, and pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Can I also acknowledge online with us today, we have my fellow Councillor David Griffiths, who is the lead of the Education and Innovation portfolio at the City of Melbourne. We've also got our conference organisers, Meld Community, Meld Magazine, the Meld Board and the Conference Organising Committee. We've got 15 international student leaders who are with us, who participated in the Melbourne International Student Leadership Program. Well done, guys. We've got our conference sponsors, the great people at Scape and Project Global Citizen. And in advance, I want to say thanks to all the speakers who will be sharing their stories with us today. And most importantly of all, I want to say welcome to all the international and domestic students who are joining us here in Melbourne, across Australia and from abroad. Can I begin by saying that it is such an honour for me on a really personal level to be opening this conference today. When I'm not working at Melbourne Town Hall, I actually work at the University of Melbourne, and one of my roles there is as a lecturer. I have taught, I was going to say hundreds, but I actually have taught thousands of international students over the years at the Melbourne School of Government, where I teach public policy to future people working in public life, in government, in many different countries. And I'm delighted to say that so many of them have remained good friends of mine after they have finished their studies. I've got one good friend who studied in Melbourne who is, probably shouldn't say his name, but he's very, very senior in the Pakistan Police Service. I have another very good friend. She is very senior in the Department of Finance in Vietnam. And I've got another mate who was one of my students who works for the municipal government of Shanghai. And occasionally we share ideas with each other, even though it was many, many years ago that he was in my classroom. So, as I said, to be able to join you today, maybe not quite in the circumstances that we had all hoped for, nonetheless is still a great honour. I'd also like to thank our tireless friends at Meld Community who have organised this year's conference. This is the 8th annual gathering, and from a City of Melbourne perspective, we are absolutely delighted to partner with you again. The Melbourne International Student Conference was established back in 2014, and all these years on, the context is, it's fair to say, more challenging than we have known previously. Even so, this conference and leadership program will still provide you with fantastic opportunities to develop yourselves personally and also to think about your professional development as well. So I want to say a big thank you to those students who took part in the program and have worked so hard to co-produce today's program. As I flagged, in 2021, so much has changed. So let's begin by remembering that prior to the pandemic, Melbourne was ranked the 3rd best city in the world for international students. Now, COVID-19 can seem all-consuming and a roadblock to your plans and ambitions. However, the City of Melbourne, I need you to know this, is absolutely committed to providing and promoting access to opportunities, experiences, and high-quality education. We recognise that international students face many challenges, and we acknowledge your continuing resilience and your contribution to our cities. For many years, our reputation as an education destination has been immensely important to us. Melbourne is a university city, and it sees itself as a university city. International students are part of the fabric of Melbourne. We love you, and we want to make your time in studying in Melbourne as enjoyable and rewarding as possible. We even hope that many of you might choose to stay on in Melbourne and live your lives here when you finish your studies. Because Melbourne is a city of possibilities. It's a city where people can feel hopeful and positive about their future. Melbourne is one of the world's great success stories as far as cities go. That's why I'm particularly impressed by some of the themes for this year's conference: reflect, refine or redefine, and respond. These words are meaningful. They speak of opportunities, reimagining our lives, and adjusting. One thing you can be certain of is that is that you will receive some hard knocks. You will be knocked off the horse. The key is to get back on. I've had so many setbacks in my career. I don't even have time to mention them all today. We would be here all day if I took you through them all. One particular low point for me was actually the 2010 election, which was held in Victoria. I was the campaign director for the Labor Party in that election, and Labor was in government at the time and was expected to win that election. But as history shows, Labor did not win and the government fell. And as the campaign director, I received a lot of the blame. I lost my job and it got pretty bad. People would actually not return my phone calls. This period also coincided with a personal tragedy in my family. My wife's brother, who lived with us at the time, he died of complications related to drug addiction. So it was challenging on all fronts. It was definitely a low point. But I did keep putting myself out there. I did keep trying to get back on the horse. I put my hands up for jobs. I didn't stop. And eventually I got a very lucky break. The then newly elected Prime Minister, Julia Gillard, actually offered me a job in her office. I'd known her for some time. I guess she knew how hard I would work, and I got the opportunity to work with her to serve the 27th Prime Minister of Australia. And I think I served as part of a government that did some pretty amazing things, setting up a national disability insurance scheme, major education reform for Australia, putting a price on carbon. And so things that to this day I remain very, very proud to have been a part of. And so from my lowest moment, one of my toughest points in my career, came actually a new opportunity and allowed me to achieve some of the things that I'm most proud of in my working life. The key to all that, of course, is resilience. When you get knocked off the horse, you get back on. The one thing you can be absolutely certain of about your future is that you will get those knocks. You will be knocked off the horse. What will set you apart, what will set you up for success, is your ability, no matter how hard it seems, is to get back up, get back on, and keep trying. Today's discussion can equip you with practical skills to help you be career ready. The conference also showcases the achievements of students, graduates, and alumni, and features speakers who have themselves been international students. As I said, Melbourne has always been a magnet for bright minds. And despite some recent setbacks, we are absolutely committed to reawakening Melbourne as that great city, that city of possibilities. Pre-COVID, Victoria was home to more than 150,000 international students. They are integral to the social fabric of our city, not only as students, but as proud residents and successful professionals. Many international students are working on the front line of the pandemic response in our testing and vaccination centres, and we are so grateful for that. At the City of Melbourne, we are not standing idle. We are getting back on the horse in terms of getting international education back on its feet and seeing that it's something that happens physically in person in Melbourne again. The City of Melbourne has been advocating for more than a year to find a safe way to bring international students back. And this effort has been led by Councillor David Griffiths, who's with us today, and who leads that education portfolio. David worked as a teacher for many years, and he is passionate about the power of education to transform lives. And he is one driven individual when it comes to getting international education physically back in classrooms across our city. The Lord Mayor has also been tireless in her efforts, ensuring everyone in Canberra and in the Victorian government knows that this is absolutely top of the agenda for Melbourne. Beyond that advocacy work, we've been focusing on local initiatives that support international students, such as last year's food vouchers program, which I was very pleased to have led. A vaccination hub at Melbourne Town Hall has given many people easier access to jabs, and it's been great to see so many international students rolling up to take advantage of that. For those of you studying in Melbourne, we want you to continue to feel welcome, safe, and connected to others. Once restrictions lift, please explore the Experience Melbourne program of special offers in our city. Come along to the Couch International Student Centre. David and I are both really looking forward to seeing you there. We can't wait to welcome you back to our city and to make you feel connected and make sure that you have the absolute time of your life studying here in Melbourne. So finally, do sign up to the City of Melbourne's International Student Facebook site and subscribe to our International Student newsletter to receive updates on when all our programs can resume. Discussions today are so important in Melbourne's recovery efforts, and as Australia reclaims its reputation as a world leader in education. Again, I want to leave you where I started, by saying again what an honour it is to be able to be part of the opening of this conference. And in terms of leaving you with one message, in terms of your own personal life and career journeys, it's that message about resilience. One thing you can be certain of is that you will receive some knocks, you will receive setbacks, you will sometimes lose. But the key, the secret, the thing that will set you apart is your ability to bounce back, your ability to get back on the horse. Melbourne is bouncing back. You are here studying. You are learning the power of resilience. I so look forward to seeing you live your best life, a life that is full of possibilities through your education that you receive in Melbourne. Have a great conference. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Deputy Lord Mayor, for those wonderful words. It's really powerful to hear your reflections and your own story as well, because I think, you know, what really helps us accept those knocks and those setbacks that we face is really it's really hearing from other people who have succeeded, that, you know, this is part of the journey, and this is part of adapting and part of success as well. I wish to acknowledge the Boonwurrung people of the Kulin Nation, the traditional custodians of the land on which I am streaming in from today. I also acknowledge the traditional owners of the different locations that we're all streaming in from today, as I'm sure there's many different countries and many different lands that we're accessing this conference from. I pay my respect to their elders past, present and emerging, and acknowledge that sovereignty was never ceded. Thank you again, Deputy Lord Mayor, for your words. And I would also like to acknowledge Councillor David Griffiths, who has, you know, spent some of his time joining us here today, which we really appreciate. Welcome to this year's Melbourne International Student Conference. I'm Anne Louise, and I'm MELD's project manager. It's our 8th time running the conference, and I think it's my 6th by this time. So there's been a number of years, and it's been an emerging or continuously changing event and project. It is also the 2nd time we've needed to stay online. I was really excited to see both new and familiar faces, or names rather, on the registration list. And I look forward to networking you and actually getting to see some of your faces in the snack and networking breaks that we'll have throughout the conference today. Ritika, Misc's project lead, will talk about that before we go on a break. Also importantly, this year, MELD Community and the City of Melbourne ran a leadership program for 15 international students. There was an application process, and based on this, 15 leaders who demonstrated the greatest motivation, the greatest ability to reflect on themselves as emerging leaders were selected. Leaders completed 6 workshops related to various aspects of leading projects and simultaneously formed the organising committee for this conference. It is their insights and their hard work that's led to the event that we're proud to present to you today. And this year's conference theme is Reflect, Redefine, Respond. As you're all very aware, we are now more than 18 months into a pandemic that many of us thought would last a month, maybe 2 at most. The pandemic has brought up a clear contrast for many of us. The feeling that everything has stopped, but also the feeling that we are still moving forward, we're still aging, we're studying, we're working. And this contrast has led to, for many of us, to a feeling of being stuck, a sense of wanting to move along, wanting to study in person, gain experiences, start our careers, make new connections. But restrictions have stopped us in our tracks. Some of us have been in lockdown for longer than others, and some of us have had our jobs affected more than others. Some of us have been unable to come to Australia or indeed return to Australia to study and have been doing so remotely. And for some of us, myself included, the beginning of a new career has been busier than we could have ever imagined. I was an international student until the end of last year and have this year begun my career as a psychologist. And I can speak to the fact that many people have struggled with this year and a half that we've had, perhaps particularly as international students. My encouragement to you all is to be gentle with yourself. We're all surviving a pandemic. But this conference isn't about how hard things have been for us. I think we've all thought about that enough that we need to think about something else. We need a sense of hope. And that is what Reflect, Redefine, Respond is all about. It's about seeing the opportunities that are here now and planning how we will go into the future, not just within this pandemic, but beyond it. It's about making those connections and gaining those experiences. It's about adapting and about thriving. I like to think of the metaphor of falling over. If we hold tension in our bodies and we are stiff when we fall, we get hurt. We might even break a bone. However, if we land with a sense of softness, we're able to roll, adapt, and get back up, and even do so gracefully. And that is to say, if we adapt to the fall rather than resisting it, we find opportunities. And if there's anything international students are good at, it's adapting and finding opportunities. Simply by moving to a new country or having planned to do so, you have shown yourself that you can adapt. And now my hope is that the messages delivered in this conference will help you thrive. I encourage you to make the most of today. Engage with the sessions, ask questions for speakers in the chat, and use the opportunity to network. Networking can be scary, but ultimately, as you will hear today, likely your key to building your dream career. Importantly, the conference would not have been possible without the support of our co-host, the City of Melbourne. Their ongoing support through the years, as well as their flexibility in helping us adapt to this online format, is greatly appreciated. From City of Melbourne, I would like to particularly acknowledge Joanne Hall and Gary Lee, who've been working hard this year, just like previous years, to ensure that this conference is a success. But also to acknowledge the other initiatives that City of Melbourne has offered. Deputy Lord Mayor Nicholas Reece mentioned the food voucher program last year, and I myself benefited from that when I had about $30 per week to live on. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that's grateful for these programs. I would also like to give a special mention to the Misc management team, consisting of Riti Kazaksena, who's been in the role of project lead this year, as well as Don Doughty and Anne No. This year, leading up to the conference, we also ran a leadership program that I talked about just earlier. Throughout the last 6 weeks, these leaders have participated in workshops, worked on the conference with us. Their insights have helped create the program we present today. Their names are Akihiro, Charlie, Devin, Eugene, Gaurab, Jayden, KG, Junyi, Kwong, Kimberly, Purit, Seng, Sheena, Somia, and Wanying. Their hard work has made this conference possible. And if there are any future employers in this audience, I have just given you the names of 15 excellent new hires, just saying. And lastly, I would also like to acknowledge the support of Scape and Project Global Citizen for their support as silver sponsors, and acknowledge that the University of Melbourne was intending to sponsor us for this year's conference venue. I look forward to spending this conference with you all,